So I've recorded this off script about 3 times already, each time being 40 plus minutes, so we're going to try and sit this one down and talk about it man to man. So we're going to comb through the Nintendo Direct here. I got a small list of bullet points to go along and pick things little by little. Now, some of the information from this Nintendo Direct can be seen as wishy-washy, meaning that they say one thing and it can be interpreted in two different people in different ways. So if something I say sounds off or just different from your personal opinions, just let me know in the comments or DM me. I would love to compare notes. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into these bullet points here. So starting off, furniture theory. Furniture theory was a fun little theory that some fans just kind of threw together. Basically, the whole premise of the theory was that the interior around Sakurai would point as a hint to future to-be-revealed fighters. The only real ground for this was the furniture around Sakurai during E3 being jungle-themed, or at least supposedly jungle-themed, which many associated with Donkey Kong and thus King K. Rool. Later in August during a Smash Direct, King K. Rool was revealed. Again, this was really the only ground that people had for the theory. The interior from the August Direct, many people associated with Skull Kid, whom has not been revealed, and I believe was actually listed as an assist trophy on their website. But it's pretty easy to say that furniture theory was never a thing in that we're all just idiots. So that's that. Next is the 72 to 74 characters that they talk about, roughly about 40 seconds in. That includes Echo Fighters, which is slightly weird considering that their website doesn't include Echoes as different numbered characters. Nintendo has said different things concerning Echoes before, and it's just overall safe to assume that Nintendo likes to pick and choose what just rolls off the tongue better at a certain time and place. But all in all, there are 74 fighters if you include Pokemon Trainer as 3 separate fighters, and there's only 60, and there's only 70, there's only 70 original fighters if you do not include Echo Fighters. So I believe then that means that we only have 4 Echo Fighters, if I recall. Let's see, Daisy, Chrom, Dark Samus, and Richter. No, and Kin, that's 5. Anyway, well, 69 because of Incineroar, but when you include Piranha Plant, that's 70. Oh, well, yeah, because they said 74 before they talked about Piranha Plant. So there's 75 fighters in total when you include Echoes and you count Pokemon Trainer. But anyway, so the final new fighters that he announces within the same trailer are to be seen as the final pre-launch reveals. At the end of the Direct, DLC is teased, which I just mentioned, and we'll talk more about that later into specifics. So next we'll go straight into the character reveals, starting with Kin. So Kin was in massive loads of text leak, even being seen in a few image leaks. The main 2 compelling image leaks was a debug menu leak and the Grinch leak. Now out of the 2 of them, the debug menu became victorious, and the Grinch leak, however, was still up in the air until we saw the remaining fighter being Incineroar. Now before I go any further, let me explain what the Grinch leak was. The Grinch leak was a series of images that were screenshotted off of Snapchat with the finished Everyone is Here mural. It included Kin, Shadow the Hedgehog, Geno, Mach Rider, Chorus Kids, Isaac, and Banjo and Kazooie, and supposedly a few people also could identify Cosmos, or Cosmos, but not many people could actually agree on that, so Cosmos was kind of left off the table. The leak looked convincing enough for a huge controversial debate to conspire within the community for about a week and a half, even having unseen Grinch promotional art to back it up in the leak. It was really well made, intended or not, but ultimately it has been butchered. Anyways, Kin also does look a bit better than Ryu in terms of gameplay. He's faster, his side B has multi-hit capabilities, which allows for damage buildup and practically any of his other moves to be kill options, which I think the majority of Ryu's damage buildup attacks were just simply a lot of his kill options being utilized as regular attacks. Whereas here, his side B can hit multiple times, so it kind of does build up damage more than, say, a plethora of Ryu's attacks would. But that's just my opinions. So on to Incineroar. Seeing Incineroar was the first and final nail into the coffin for the Grinch leak, being a character that was not in the mural. So Incineroar and Kin both, however, were leaked by a popular GameFAQs member named Vergabin, or Vergabin, however you want to pronounce that, who has been leaking Smash information correctly back since August, I believe. He leaked Simon, Isabelle, Kin, Incineroar, and lastly, a Square rep. He's also talked a little bit about Minecraft getting some form of representation, be it by character or not. But concerning Incineroar, it further validates his sources. As far as the Gen 7 Pokemon go, I personally would have liked to have seen Decidueye. Now, Decidueye is actually tied for my all-time favorite Pokemon alongside Sceptile. Seeing at least one of these grass-type Pokemon would have been a nice way to complete the starter-type trio of Charizard and Greninja, but with Charizard being put back into Pokemon Trainer, that only left Greninja, so the triad has yet to be full again. Looking at Incineroar's play, I think he's way too conditional. He taunts after every standard attack, his up B sends them flying not up, and having a mechanic built solely around dash grabbing seems like something that not many casual players could thoroughly enjoy. Specifically talking about his up B, he would actually be a lot better if you could cancel the second part of the up B, or if you, say, hit a wall and you tech and then you ladder it, similar to Ness and Lucas's PK Thunder. Now, that may be considerably broken if you do that, but I'm not well versed in, deciding what's broken and what's not, so I'll leave those things to the top tier players. Next, we got Amiibo, and the Amiibo looks super cool, especially Kin and Young Link. Things like Isabelle and Pichu, I know a lot of collectors or just a lot of fan of the cute Nintendo things will thoroughly enjoy, but that's that in terms of Amiibo. So next is Spirits Mode, and I have a lot of notes here for Spirits Mode. So, to be honest, in my opinion, Spirits Mode is a mess. It's challenges meets story mode, meets trophies, meets stickers, meets equipment, and meets character unlocks. I think it's mostly the Smash team knowing how underused stickers and equipment were, and they're trying to make them as relevant as possible, considering that they put a lot of effort into it. My whole take on it is that if a mode from a previous game was underused, then don't spend as much effort trying to reiterate that mode into the next game. That's just my personal opinion. Now, if it's a favorite amongst the development team and they just love that mode to death, regardless if it was used or not, then I can see that being the reason. But I don't know. So next is trophies, well, this kind of still reiterates into Spirits, but the removal of trophies is kind of okay at best. Nobody cared much for them, aside from messing around in Brawl's trophy mode, which, as a kid, I spent a massive amount of time in. Trophies, all in all, were just used as kind of trivia pieces, which I don't think Spirits have included, like little descriptions about what the character they resemble are, what their motivations were, what game they're from, and etc. And even if they do, you wouldn't be able to mess with them in the same vein as trophies, since Spirits act as equipment. There's a garbage truck outside my house, so if you guys hear noise, that's what that is. Concerning character unlocks, I just wish that that there was more of a variety of ways to unlock them. Like having 3 characters at max be unlockable through story mode, some characters for playing online a certain amount of times, and etc. I also hope that the bosses that we saw from August, Dracula and Rathalos, have some sort of importance aside from being a stage hazard and assist trophy. Not using them as bosses in Spirits mode would be a waste in my opinion. I know that we saw Rathalos during the World of Light trailer carrying the playable character from one area to another. However, that seemed that Rathalos played more of a companion role. Maybe you have to defeat him to gain his trust and then he carries you along the map. That may totally be the case, and I'd be fine if that was the case so long as we battle him first. So lastly, as I mentioned earlier, the way that Spirits mode actually work is as I may have mentioned earlier, is that the way that Spirits actually work is nearly identical to how Blades work in Xenoblade 2. You would collect them, equip them, and then send them on missions, or even just, release them, send them away, you don't want them anymore. Now, we know that Sakurai's enjoyed Xenoblade 2, as Xenoblade 2 already has a strong presence in Smash Ultimate, along with Rex being a Mii costume, which we'll talk about later. So next we have the online mode. As they state that they've removed For Fun and For Glory, however now you have to manually select your form of play. Certain characters only, certain stages, items or no items. So instead of somewhat having these options automatically picked for you, you have to manually apply them yourself. Online matches, however, are prioritized in players' proximity, so the likelihood of you playing against someone in a different country is smaller than someone, say, a few 100 miles or so away. Regardless of the rule set you pick, that is. Online rankings also make a return and somewhat play into how games are matched up. And they also recommend a LAN adapter. Now this is super silly and super dumb of Nintendo. It just goes to show that they know how bad their online is. Personally, I haven't had any poor experience with Nintendo Online. I haven't constantly gotten, connection error messages or anything. Occasionally, that some games, some online games I'd be in will end, but that's mostly due to some people quitting in the middle of the game due to, rage or anything of the sort. But regardless, recommending a LAN adapter shows that Nintendo knows how poor their online system is. While $20 a year is incredibly cheap, it's ultimately just $20 a year for those surprise bonus deals that we know nothing about. Everything else the online subscription offers, we already have had for free. Speaking about these bonus deals, Nintendo goes on to mention 5 DLC packs to be released within about a year, or they'd be finished releasing them within the span of a year. They've said that each pack will include a new character, which does not include Echoes from the way that I understood it, stages, and music tracks. Each one costs about $6, but you can get the bundle for $25 and save yourself $5. They even flat out stated, "We know that we should probably reveal the contents of the deal, but we just aren't going to." This is a super poor marketing choice considering considering their horrible track record of online feedback within the last 2 months. It's almost as bad as Square Enix's horrible marketing choice of releasing the same Kingdom Hearts games 4 times in 5 years. Back to Smash Online, you're also required to make a Smash gamer tag. This is actually a cute little addition in my opinion. Whenever you beat someone online, you get a copy of their Smash tag. You can trade out Smash tags as currency to buy other things such as music or spirits. Some other small things to note is that they plan on making an Amino-like platform of Smash Ultimate, which can also be seen as Smash Miiverse. Next, you can no longer self-destruct online. If you're having horrible online performances due to Nintendo's poor services, you can't quit the match to end your misery. From now on, you'll be penalized, and that's dumb. People wouldn't have to kill themselves if quitting was such a hassle and the servers just performed better. Anyway, now for the assist trophy items. So with the deconfirmation of the Grinch leak being real, people still had hope for some of the characters that were in the Grinch leak. Geno, Isaac, Shadow, and etc. Well, nearly all of those characters can be seen as either assist trophies or spirits. They butchered Shadow, Takamaru, Isaac, Black Knight, and Springman as assist trophies. Considering this, they will not be DLC. Next, we got Mii costumes, which they also killed a few other fan-favorite characters, like Ribbon Girl, Chibi Robo, and Rex from Xenoblade. Next, the super cool, super thrilling, totally worth character reveal for Smash DLC is a Piranha Plant. Yeah, the piped plant from the Mario series is going to be a limited time, free playable character in Smash Ultimate. After a certain time though, you'd have to pay for him. Now, I don't think it's been revealed as to whether or not you'd have to pay the full $6. It probably won't be, considering that stages and music probably will not be included with Piranha Plant, but only time will tell. Now, the reveal itself is pretty hilarious, and not totally in the good way. Especially when you take into account one of Sakurai's interviews from the Brawl days. It's super strange that they would add a generic species character into the game. Now, I hear a lot of people say that this supports Bandana Waddle Dee or Captain Toad's playability in Smash Ultimate, but in my eyes, it actually hurts it a lot. Captain Toad and Bandana Waddle Dee aren't generic characters in their species. They're characters that we've seen and played as, grown with even. They represent their species, if anything, similar to how PD Piranha represents the Piranha Plant species. If anything, Piranha Plant merely suggests that a generic Toad or generic Waddle Dee can be added in-game in place of viable characters within their own species. Now, the counter-argument to this are the Pokemon, and probably even Olimar's Pikmin. See, literally every Pikachu in existence represents the species, or it represents the Pokemon species of Pikachu. Same thing for Charizard, same thing for Greninja. That can sort of be applied to Mewtwo, however, Mewtwo is a legendary, and legendaries typically only exist in ones. You know, there's not like multiple Arceus or anything like that. But yeah, so the counter argument, along with Yoshi even, is that that generic species have been in Smash. However, the thing with those species is that a lot of those species we've seen in one-ofs, you know, in games like Super Mario 3 or Super Mario World. In a game like Super Mario World, you can only have one Yoshi at a time. Now, even though that's not the same Yoshi, it's the same green Yoshi. So it makes you think, oh, it's the same Yoshi. Another way to look at it, too, would be if you play any of the Yoshi's games, for example, and you die as a Yoshi and you respawn, you may respawn into the same color coat as the previous Yoshi that you played as. So that leaves you to assume, hey, I'm playing as the same Yoshi. So, all in all, that is kind of that's a debate led more so on terminology than anything. But anyway, continuing, it's also a punch in the gut to characters that aren't a part of generic enemy races, such as Waluigi, for example, who has yet to be seen in game. Now, don't get me wrong, I still don't think that Waluigi should be suited for Smash, but I also don't think that the Piranha Plant is either. At this rate, they could go against any form of previous established logic for the sake of adding all kinds of random characters. To be perfectly honest, I would not be surprised in the slightest if their next character was Shy Guy or something. Now, with this said, let's get into 3 small DLC predictions. Now, I may make a video later specifically talking about DLC wishes, but it's whatever, I'm just going to shoot out 3 now. Paper Mario, Sceptile, and Vergabin's Square Enix character, which currently is looking more like Sora than Geno, since Geno has been seen as a spirit. And again, that's all I got so far. Now, I don't think any modern indie characters are going to be getting in as playable before Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is like the Donkey Kong of modern-day indie games. It's way too good and way too iconic to pass up for its genre. Now, finally, we'll talk about World of Light. So as I stated earlier, I'm not super keen on the idea on story mode being involved with spirits and thus equipment. I don't think it's remotely necessary by any means. Now, I do like the idea of World of Light, with Thanos snapping his fingers and all the characters literally dying. Just about everything nowadays is an Infinity War reference, and I think that itself is pretty funny. The theme song I originally did not like, but it has been growing on me, so maybe I'll like it and start maybe even humming it to myself, add it to my Spotify playlist down the road, but that's not now. And yeah, that's about it. Those are my thoughts on the last Smash Direct before its release on December 7th. Whew, boy oh boy. It has been a fun ride, ladies and gentlemen, but it's finally about time.